The tuxedo hung in the back of Ethan's closet like a ghost, black and starched, whispering promises of a night that could shatter everything. Rain hammered the trailer roof in Willow Creek, Ohio, drowning out the prom playlist blasting from his cracked phone speaker, some overplayed pop anthem about first loves that felt like knives. "You're going alone?" His mom slurred from the couch, bottle in hand, her eyes already glazing over the boy she'd raised in the shadow of abandonment. Ethan slammed the closet door, heart pounding like thunder. "Yeah, Mom. Alone." But he wasn't, not really. The mirror lied, showing a stranger in silk cummerbund and bow tie. But inside, he was screaming for the dad who'd vanished 13 years ago, leaving nothing but a faded Polaroid and a hole that no amount of small-town football games or stolen kisses in the bleachers could fill. Tonight, under the gym's tacky disco lights, he'd dance like the world owed him redemption, tux and all, because faking it was the only way to feel whole. He grabbed his keys, the downpour blurring the windshield as he peeled out toward Willow Creek High. The prom committee had strung fairy lights across the parking lot, turning the soggy asphalt into a half-assed wonderland. But Ethan's mind raced back to that last memory, 5 years old, watching taillights fade down a gravel road, his father's voice cracking over the phone line years later. "I couldn't stay, kid. It wasn't you." Bullshit. It was everything. The whispers about Dad's friend from the city, the fights that shook the thin walls, the way Mom's tears tasted like betrayal. Ethan had buried it deep, buried himself deeper, coming out to her last summer in a choked whisper that got a half hug and a "whatever makes you happy, baby." But happiness? That was a prom night myth. The gym door swung open to a blast of bass and perfume, bodies twisting under a balloon arch that screamed senior send-off. Ethan scanned the crowd, cheerleaders in sequins, jocks in ill-fitting suits, the theater kids voguing like it was Broadway. No date, no drama, just him weaving through the chaos, the tux feeling like armor against the stairs. "Looking sharp, Hale," Jake from bio class muttered, clapping his shoulder a beat too long, his grin loaded with that unspoken heat they'd danced around since sophomore year. Ethan nodded, pulse quickening, but before he could reply, the DJ's voice boomed. "Next up, a slow one for the lovers and the dreamers." The lights dimmed, and Ethan slipped to the edge of the dance floor, the ache in his chest blooming like a bruise. That's when he saw him. Across the room, leaning against the punch bowl table, a man in a rumpled gray suit, salt and pepper hair cropped short, eyes the same haunted hazel as his own. Time fractured, 13 years compressed into a heartbeat. "Dad, here." Not a ghost, not a postcard lie, but flesh and blood, nursing a plastic cup like he belonged. Ethan's knees buckled. He gripped the wall, breath ragged. "What the fuck?" he whispered to no one, the world narrowing to that impossible figure who'd sworn he'd never come back. The man, Jack Hale, once a mechanic with grease under his nails and dreams in his duffel, hadn't planned on crashing the prom. He'd rolled into Willow Creek that afternoon, trucks sputtering like his resolve, after a decade-plus of bar-hopping across the Midwest, chasing jobs and ghosts. The letter from Ethan's mom had arrived 2 weeks back, forwarded from a dive in Cincinnati. "He's graduating. Might want to see your boy before life's done with him." Jack had crumpled it, tossed it, then fished it out at 3 a.m., whiskey sour on his tongue. Now here he was, 52 and frayed, watching his son, tall, sharp-jawed, in a tux that screamed defiance, stare him down like a loaded gun. Ethan crossed the floor in 3 strides, the slow song's croon mocking them both. "You got some nerve," he hissed, voice low to dodge the chaperone's ears. Up close, Jack looked wrecked, crow's feet etched deep, a wedding band tan line faded to nothing, stubble silvered at the edges. But those eyes, God, those eyes held the same storm Ethan saw in the mirror every morning. "Kid." "Ethan," Jack started, voice gravel from disuse, hand twitching like it wanted to reach out. I just needed to see you. One last. Last? You think this is a fucking curtain call?" Ethan's laugh was bitter, slicing through the bubble of nostalgia. Heads turned, but he didn't care. The dam had cracked. "You left. 5 years old, Dad. I waited on that porch till the cops came. And now? Prom night. Like you get to waltz in with your sad sack suit and fix it?" Jack's face crumpled, cup crumpling in his fist. "I was drowning, son. Your mom. The town. Me. I couldn't breathe here." He swallowed hard, glancing at the dancers, the rain-streaked windows. "But you look good. Proud. Proud." Ethan's fists balled, the bow tie suddenly choking him. "I'm gay, Dad. In case you missed the memo when you bailed. Wore this tux cause dresses ain't my style, and neither is hiding. The words hung, electric, the first time he'd said it to this ghost. Jake hovered nearby, concern flickering, but Ethan waved him off. This was theirs, the wreckage, the raw edge. Jack's breath hitched, not shock, but something deeper, like recognition. I know, he murmured, so quiet Ethan leaned in. Guessed it from the letters I never sent back. And Ethan, that's why I left. Not you. Me. I was running from the same damn thing. The confession landed like a gut punch, the gym's hum fading to white noise. Ethan reeled, Tuck's jacket suddenly too tight, the fairy lights blurring into halos. Jack, his father, the man who taught him to throw a curveball before vanishing. Gay? The pieces clicked, the friend in Cleveland, the late nights, the fights that weren't about mom's flirting but Jack's hidden heart. Betrayal twisted fresh, not just abandonment, but a mirror Ethan hadn't asked for. You liar. Ethan choked, stepping back. All these years, thinking I broke you. But you were just scared? Of what? Loving a man. Being one. Tears burned, hot and unbidden, the slow song ending in a swell of applause that felt like mockery. Jack's hand finally moved, gripping Ethan's arm. Not hard, but desperate. Scared shitless. Thought it'd destroy us all. But seeing you now, standing tall in that tux, owning it. I came back to say I'm sorry. And proud. God, so proud. The dam broke then, Ethan's shoulders shaking as sobs clawed free. Around them, the prom swirled on, couples swaying, laughter bubbling. But father and son stood frozen, rain pattering like reluctant applause. Jake appeared at Ethan's side, a steady hand on his waist, murmuring, "You okay?" Ethan nodded, leaning into the warmth, the first real anchor of the night. But his eyes stayed on Jack, searching for the lie, finding only fractured truth. They stumbled outside minutes later, the downpour soaking tux and suit alike, the parking lot a slick black mirror reflecting their ghosts. Jack lit a cigarette with trembling fingers, offering one to Ethan, who took it despite the cough, the burn a welcome distraction. Why now? Ethan demanded, water streaming down his face. Rain or tears, who could tell? After all this time? Jack exhaled smoke into the storm, eyes distant. Cancer, he said flatly, like ordering coffee. Stage 3. Docs and Indy give me 6 months, tops. Figured if I was cashing out, I'd do it facing you. Not running. Ethan's world tilted, the cigarette dropping forgotten into a puddle. Cancer. The word lodged like shrapnel, rewriting the night. Not redemption, but reckoning. A dying man's Hail Mary. You asshole, he whispered, but there was no heat, only hollow ache. He punched Jack's arm, weak and wild, then collapsed against the truck hood, the metal cold under his palms. You don't get to drop that and bail again. I ain't bailing, Jack rasped, pulling him into a hug that smelled of tobacco and regret. Awkward at first, then fierce, arms wrapping like they'd never let go. Ethan clung, tux ruined, heart fracturing open. Inside, Jake waited by the doors, a silent sentinel, his own story of quiet crushes and small-town closets mirroring Ethan's in ways neither had voiced yet. They talked till the rain eased to mist, words tumbling like confessions in a confessional. Jack spoke of the years adrift, Chicago winters fixing rigs for cash under the table, a lover named Marco who'd left scars deeper than any wrench cut, the postcards he'd written and burned. I watched you grow up from afar, he admitted, pulling a worn photo from his wallet. Ethan at 12, gap-toothed grin from a school pic swiped online. Kept this. Kept you. Ethan shared his fragments. The bullying after coming out, mom's spiral into bottles after the divorce finalized, the tentative spark with Jake that felt like sunlight after endless gray. I hated you, he said, voice cracking. But I needed you. To tell me it was okay. To be. Like me. Jack's laugh was wet, broken. It is okay, kid. More than okay. It's who we are. Hales, stubborn as hell, loving fierce when we let ourselves. He cupped Ethan's face, thumb brushing that childhood scar. Go back in there. Dance with that boy, eyeing you like you're the prize. Live the life I couldn't. But Ethan shook his head, glancing at the gym lights. Not without you. He dragged Jack inside, ignoring the stares, the whispers. Old man in a suit, prom crasher. The DJ spun another slow jam, and father and son swayed awkwardly on the edge of the floor, tux to suit, rain damp and unpolished. Jake joined after a beat, sandwiching Ethan in a three-way hold that drew chuckles from the crowd, the tension easing into something human, messy, real. As the night wore on, conflicts simmered beneath the surface. Mom showed up uninvited, 3 sheets to the wind, her entrance a whirlwind of accusations. "You think you can just show up, Jack? After what you did?" That escalated into a shouting match by the bleachers. Ethan stood between them. "Tux Askew," pleading for truce. "He's sick, Mom. And he's here." The betrayal stung fresh. Her own secrets, the affairs that had driven Jack away, now laid bare in slurred rants. Jake pulled her aside, his calm a balm, while Ethan and Jack retreated to a quiet corner, the gym's pulse a distant throb. "You're stronger than me," Jack murmured, watching Ethan navigate the storm. "I ran from her, from us. You fight." Ethan's throat tightened. "Learned it from you. The leaving part, anyway." They shared a look, raw and reckoning. The unspoken gay thread weaving their fractures, a bond beyond blood. No easy fixes, but a start. Jack promising chemo in Cleveland, Ethan vowing visits, Jake's hand in his a quiet vow of more. Dawn crept in as Prom fizzled, the cleanup crew sweeping confetti like fallen dreams. Ethan walked Jack to his truck, the air crisp with possibility. "Come to graduation," he said, not a question. Jack nodded, eyes bright. "Wouldn't miss it. Love you, son. Always did." The engine rumbled to life, taillights fading, not into oblivion, but toward tomorrow. Ethan turned back to Jake, their fingers lacing under the rising sun, the tux a talisman of survival. Father's love, reclaimed, not perfect, but profound, a light piercing the long shadow of loss. The summer after Prom blurred into a haze of heat waves and half-truths, Willow Creek's cornfields whispering secrets to the wind as Ethan navigated the fragile bridge he'd built with Jack. Graduation came and went in a blur of caps and gowns, Jack in the bleachers with a chemo weekend wave that hit harder than any diploma. "Proud as hell," he'd texted after, the words glowing on Ethan's phone like embers. But pride couldn't erase the undercurrent of dread, scans showing spread, Jack's voice thinning over weekly calls from his cramped apartment in Cleveland. Ethan landed a gig at the local garage, wrenching on pickups to bank cash for community college, his hands black with grease mirroring the man he'd idolized as a kid. Jake became the constant, there maybe from prom nights evolving into stolen weekends at the quarry, bodies tangled under star-pricked skies, laughter echoing off limestone walls. "You're mine now," Jake murmured one August evening, lips brushing Ethan's collarbone, the words a vow sealed in sweat and certainty. But even in those arms, doubt gnawed, Jack's silence stretching longer, texts unanswered, the cancer a thief stealing moments Ethan hadn't known he craved. Fall hit with a vengeance, leaves carpeting Main Street in crimson regret. Ethan's first semester at Tri-County Community started with biolabs and late-night cram sessions, Jake commuting from his dairy farm shifts, their rhythm steady but strained by distance. Then the call came, October 15th, Mom's voice shrill through the dorm line. "He's gone, baby." Jack slipped away in his sleep last night. Ethan dropped the phone, the world fracturing into shards, lecture halls emptying, rain lashing windows like accusatory fingers. Gone. After 3 months of fragile peace, the bastard had bailed again, this time for good. He drove home in a blackout fog, tires chewing asphalt, arriving at the trailer to find Mom chain-smoking on the stoop, her face a map of old wars. "Left a box for you," she said, thrusting a cardboard relic into his arms. Jack's handwriting scrawled on the lid. "For Ethan. Don't hate me forever." Inside, the Polaroid from that last day, now creased and yellowed, a stack of unsent letters tied with twine, a tarnished silver watch, its face cracked but ticking defiant. Ethan sank to the steps, rifling through the papers, each one a gut wrench. "Missed your birthday. Saw your game highlights online, killer arm. Heard you're playing ball. Remember that curveball? That's my boy. The last, dated a week ago. If you're reading this, I'm sorry I couldn't say it face to face. Loved you every damn day. Be brave, kid. Love like it's oxygen." Betrayal roared back, hot and unbidden. Jack, knowing the end, choosing silence over goodbye. "Why?" Ethan snarled to the empty air, crumpling the letter, tears soaking the ink. Mom knelt beside him, awkward in her sobriety attempt, hand on his knee. He was broken, Ethan. Like us. But he tried at the end. Tried? It felt like another abandonment. The prom reconciliation a cruel tease. Father's love dangled then snatched. Jake arrived an hour later, truck headlights cutting the dusk, pulling Ethan into a hug that smelled of hay and home. "We'll get through this," he whispered, but Ethan pushed away, the watch heavy in his palm. He lied. Again. Said he'd fight. They argued in the kitchen, voices rising over cold coffee. Jake urging grief. Ethan lashing out, the pain twisting into blame. "You don't get it. He left me twice." Jake's eyes flashed hurt, the first crack in their armor. "I'm here, Ethan. Right now. But you gotta let me in." The funeral was a sparse affair 2 days later, Willow Creek Baptist holding court under gray skies, potluck casseroles congealing in the hall. 10 mourners, tops. Jack's drinking buddies from the garage, a cousin Ethan barely recalled, mom in a black dress too tight for her frame. No eulogy, just the pastor's rote scripture on redemption, words that rang hollow. Ethan stood graveside in jeans and flannel, the watch on his wrist a talisman of what-ifs. Jake's hand in his the only warmth against the chill. That's when the stranger appeared, tall, olive-skinned, late 40s, in a wool coat that screamed city miles from this Rust Belt dirge. "Ethan." The man extended a hand, grip firm, eyes dark and kind. "Marco, I was with your dad. For a long time." The pieces slotted, the lover from Jack's tales, the one who'd left scars. Marco's presence was a bomb, detonating old wounds. Jack's hidden life laid bare in a stranger's condolences. "He talked about you nonstop," Marco said softly, as they walked the cemetery paths, leaves crunching underfoot. "Sent me photos. Said you were his North Star." Ethan's chest tightened, anger and curiosity warring. "He never said goodbye." Marco nodded, sorrow etching deeper lines. "Jack was stubborn. Thought he had more time. But he wanted you to know. He was proud. Of the man you're becoming. The love you're claiming." He glanced at Jake, lingering by the truck, a subtle nod of understanding. "Don't let his ghost steal your light." The drive back was silent, Ethan's mind a whirlwind. Marco's words unlocked the letters anew that night, sprawled on his dorm bed, Jake dozing beside him. Jack's confessions spilled, fears of the town's judgment, the closet's chokehold, the quiet joy of stolen weekends with Marco before it soured. "I left to protect you from my mess," one read. "But I see now, kid, you're tougher. Love who you love. Fierce." Tears came then, cathartic, washing the betrayal into something bearable, not abandonment, but a flawed man's attempt at armor. Winter descended, snow blanketing Willow Creek in hush. Ethan's classes a blur of finals and frost. Jake and he mended slowly. Apologies over diner pie, nights rebuilding trust in tangled sheets. "I get it now," Ethan murmured one December eve, watch glinting in lamplight. "The leaving. It's in me too." Jake kissed his temple, steady as ever. "But you stay. That's the win." Christmas brought Marco back, unannounced, bearing a box of Jack's tools, wrenches etched with initials, a photo album of road trips Ethan had never known. They talked for hours in the trailer's cramped living room, mom nursing Coco, the air thick with shared grief. Marco spoke of Jack's laugh and dive bars, his quiet sketches of Cleveland skylines, the way he'd light up saying "my boy." "He loved you enough to let you go," Marco said, voice thick. "And come back." The revelation deepened Ethan's resolve, applying for a transfer to Case Western in the spring, chasing engineering dreams Jack had once whispered about over backyard barbecues. Jake, accepted to OSU AG program, promised weekends in the city, their love stretching like highways. But conflict brewed subtle. Mom's relapse, bottles hidden in cabinets, her barbs at Marco, city boy taking what's left, forcing Ethan to mediate, the family fractures widening. Spring thaw mirrored the shift, cherry blossoms dusting campus paths as Ethan packed for Cleveland. Prom's tux hung framed on his wall, a relic of reclamation, beside Jack's watch on a chain. Graduation loomed again, not high school pomp, but a capstone, Marco in the stands with a sign, "Hail Strong." As Ethan crossed the stage, diploma in hand, he felt it. Father's love, not lost, but woven into his bones, fueling the man who'd wear defiance like a second skin. Yet the ultimate betrayal lingered in silence. Jack's final letter, tucked deepest in the box, unread till now. "If I could redo it, I'd stay. Teach you to love without fear. But know this, Ethan, you're my legacy. Gay, proud, unbreakable. Find your Marco. Hold him tight." Ethan folded it away, heart full, stepping into summer's promise with Jake's hand in his, the road ahead wide open. The move to Cleveland was a baptism by brick and bustle, Ethan's beat-up Civic groaning under boxes of books and regrets as he navigated I-71 snarl. Case Western's campus sprawled like a promise. Gothic spires piercing smoggy skies. Lecture halls buzzing with accents from coasts he'd only dreamed of. Dorm life hit hard. Bunking with a poli-sci major from Brooklyn who blasted hip-hop at dawn. Cafeteria trays clanging with futures in the making. But the real anchor was the off-campus walk-up Marco had helped scout. A one-bedroom in Little Italy, pasta-scented stairs creaking underfoot, rent split with Jake on weekends when farm breaks allowed. Summer faded into sophomore blur, circuits class wiring Ethan's brain like the engines he'd tinkered as a teen, late nights soldering under desk lamps. Jake's visits were oases, roadside diners off the interstate, bodies colliding in the narrow bed, whispers of miss you, laced with the ache of miles. This city's changing you, Jake teased one September night, fingers tracing the watch chain around Ethan's neck. Less flannel, more. Brooding artist. Ethan laughed, pulling him closer, but the words stuck, Cleveland sharpening edges, exposing the boy from Willow Creek to a world of rainbow flags and unapologetic pride parades. Marco became the unexpected constant, their coffees at the corner espresso joint evolving into mentorships over tiramisu. A graphic designer by trade, he'd met Jack in a 90s Akron bar, two lost souls nursing drafts and drawing parallels in stolen glances. Your dad had this fire, Marco said one crisp October afternoon, sketching idly on a napkin, a half-rendered skyline with a lone figure in tux, evoking Prom's ghost. Buried deep, but there. Like you. Ethan absorbed it, the stories filling voids. Jack's first kiss in a Detroit motel, the closet's weight during Ethan's toddler years, the quiet coming out to Marco over a decade back. But romance's bloom brought thorns. Jake, thriving in AG co-ops, started hinting at futures, farm inheritance, roots digging deeper in Willow Creek soil. We could make it work, he'd say, voice earnest over video calls. But Ethan felt the pull, the city's hum calling him to internships at NASA Glen, dreams of aerospace blueprints eclipsing hay bales. Tension simmered during Thanksgiving break, back home where Mom's trailer sagged under fresh snowdrifts, her AA meetings a fragile thread. Dinner turned battlefield. Jake's offhand, why not transfer back? Clashing with Ethan's this is my shot, Dad's shot, too. You sound like him, Jake accused later, in the truck cab, engine idling by the quarry. Running toward lights, leaving dirt behind. Ethan recoiled, the betrayal slicing fresh. Jake, his rock, wielding abandonment like a weapon. I'm not leaving you, he shot back, voice cracking. But I can't shrink for this. The fight escalated, words like grenades. Jake's fear of losing him to fancy city boys. Ethan's resentment at being tethered. They parted with a slammed door, silence stretching days into a chasm. Christmas in Cleveland was solitary, Marco hosting a pasta feast for stragglers, design interns, and a barista with a crush. But Ethan's heart was in Ohio's heartland. The watch ticked accusations, Jack's letters a nightly ritual now, one passage haunting. Love's not a chain, kid. It's a launch pad. He drove south on impulse, New Year's Eve, snow-slick roads mirroring inner turmoil, arriving at Jake's farm unannounced. The porch light glowed like a beacon, Jake in sweats and shock, pulling him inside to cocoa and confessions. I'm scared, Ethan admitted, bundled on the couch, Jake's dog nosing his hand. Of losing you to this. But staying small, that's losing me. Jake's eyes softened, calloused fingers interlacing. Then we grow together. Visits, calls. Hell, I'll learn circuits if it means us. They made love slow that night, bodies mapping forgiveness. The farm's quiet a counterpoint to Cleveland's roar. But doubt lingered, a shadow. Was this harmony or postponement? Spring brought bloom and betrayal's bloom. Ethan's internship at the Space Center dazzled, CAD models of satellite arrays, mentors praising his hale intuition for mechanics. But Jake's texts grew sparse, farm life swallowing him. Then the bomb, a late April call, Jake's voice hollow. Met someone. Farmhand from downstate. It's real. Ethan froze in the lab, blueprints blurring, the world narrowing to static. Betrayal, sharp as a snapped wire. Not Jack's ghost this time, but the boy who'd held him through grief, choosing ease over the miles. Why? Ethan demanded, voice steel over tears, pacing the apartment as rain lashed windows. Jake's excuses tumbled. You're gone, man. This feels steady, steady. The word mocked, echoing Mom's barbs, Jack's silences. Ethan hung up, smashing the watch against the wall, not breaking, just denting, a metaphor too on the nose. Marco found him hours later, curled on the fire escape, nursing whiskey from Jack's old flask. Hearts break to rebuild, Marco said, joining him in the chill, their shoulders brushing in unspoken solidarity. Your dad lost me once. Chased me back. But sometimes, you let go. Letting go was war. Ethan threw himself into work, nights blurring with code and caffeine, Pride March volunteering a defiant pulse, marching with signs that screamed, love wins, even as his own cracked. Mom visited once, trained from Willow Creek, her eyes clear for the first time in years. Heard about Jake, she said over pierogies, hand on his. Hurts like hell, but you're rising, baby, like your father wished. Her words cracked the dam, tears shared over coffee, the first real bridge across their chasm. Summer scorched, internship climaxing in a presentation. Ethan's design for a rover arm, lauded, a scholarship nod whispering futures beyond rust. Marco threw a bash, rooftop under fireworks, body swaying to indie tracks, a curly-haired grad student named Riley catching Ethan's eye with a grin and a love the watch, vintage grit. Flirtation sparked tentative, Riley's stories of Boston blizzards and queer theater mirroring Ethan's hunger for more. But guilt gnawed, Jake's final email, weeks later. Sorry doesn't cut it. But I hope you fly. Ethan deleted it, but not the ache. Fall semester dawned with resolve, classes of forge hammering pain into purpose. Riley became dates, art house films, lakeside picnics, his touch gentle, healing. Yet conflict crested at homecoming. A Willow Creek detour where Jake showed, eyes hopeful at the bonfire. Missed you, he said, beer in hand, the farmhand absent. Ethan stood firm, Riley's text buzzing in his pocket. I miss us too, but I'm not that boy anymore. The goodbye was civil, Jake's nod reluctant, the fire's crackle sealing chapters. By winter's grip, Ethan stood taller, Prom tux donated to theater kids, watch repaired and worn proud. Marco's sketches now included him, half-body portraits of resilience, hazel eyes fierce. Father's love, rediscovered not in return, but in forward motion, Jack's legacy a compass, pointing to loves yet claimed, lives unlived in fear. The winter of Ethan's junior year wrapped Cleveland in iron frost, Lake Erie's gales howling like unresolved choruses as he and Riley navigated the tender chaos of new love. Riley, lithe, with ink-smeared fingers from graphic novels and a laugh that cut through midterm's grind, moved in piecemeal, sketchpads colonizing the coffee table, their mornings a tangle of shared mugs and murmured dreams. You're my plot twist, Riley quipped one sleety February dawn, tracing Ethan's scar, the intimacy a balm on old wounds. Ethan believed it, most days, the watch a quiet talisman ticking toward stability. But ghosts don't thaw easy. Mom's calls grew frantic, AA slips crumbling under relapse's weight. Just one, baby, for the holidays, culminating in a March ER dash. Ethan white-knuckling the drive from campus, Riley trailing with quiet support. The hospital's fluorescent hum echoed Jack's absence, Mom's bed a battlefield of IVs and regrets. I pushed him away, she confessed in the dim ward, fingers clutching his. The affairs, they were revenge. For his secrets, Ethan absorbed it, the betrayal's full circle, not just Jack's flight, but her complicity, the family's fracture a shared sin. Forgiveness came halting, in bedside vigils, Riley fetching vending machine coffee like a sentinel. Spring unfurled with renewal's edge, cherry blossoms defiant against April showers as Ethan's senior project took shape. A drone prototype for disaster relief, wrenches turning in the machine shop like echoes of garage days. Marco collaborated, his designs lending aesthetic flair, their bond deepening into chosen family. Jack would have built this with you, he said during a late lab session, smudged blueprints between them. Hell, he'd have crashed it first, laughing. Ethan grinned, the ache softening to warmth. Father's love refracted through proxies. Yet climax brewed in shadows. Riley's internship in New York loomed, a summer at a publishing house, whispers of permanence in Manhattan's maze. Come with, he urged over rooftop wine, city lights winking below. Ethan hesitated, the pull of roots warring with wings. Willow Creek's gravity, Cleveland's launch. I can't just uproot, he admitted, voice tight. Riley's face fell, the argument igniting slow. You're always half here, Ethan. Ghosts holding you back. Ghosts, Jack, Jake, Mom. The word lashed, betrayal's fresh cut. You think this is easy? Building from ruins. Ethan shot back, the watch chain snapping in his fist. The fight escalated over weeks. Riley's packing box is a ticking clock. Ethan's silence is a wall. Marco mediated once, over Italian at his flat. Love's not possession. It's permission to soar, together or solo. Wise words, but they landed like indictments. Jake's sporadic check-ins added fuel. A farm wedding invite. Thought of you. Laced with nostalgia that twisted Ethan's gut. Betrayal layered. Lovers leaving, legacies lingering. The fear that history rhymed. Crisis peaked in June. Mom's rock bottom. A DUI crash splintering the trailer. Shards of beer bottles and broken promises. Ethan flew home. Riley in tow. The farm's guest room a tense truce. Confronting her in rehab's sterile lobby, Ethan unleashed. You drank away, Dad. Away us. But I'm done enabling. Her sobs were raw. Apologies a flood. The human wreckage laid bare. No villains, just survivors scarred. Jake appeared at the AA meeting, eyes meeting Ethan's across folding chairs, a nod of mutual mending. He's good for you. Jake murmured post-meet, clapping Riley's shoulder. Don't fuck it up like I did. Back in Cleveland, the rupture healed Riley's rift. I get it now, he said, suitcase paused mid-zip. The weight you carry. We'll bridge it. Summer's here, holidays there. Ethan pulled him close, the kiss a covenant. Love's deep waters parting for air. Marco toasted them at a farewell dinner, sketch of intertwined hands framed as gift to found families. Senior year crested in a whirlwind. Cap and gown under May sun. Drone demos soaring flawless, scholarships stacking like affirmations. Mom discharged, sober 6 months. Her first solo drive to campus a milestone marked with diner fries. Marco's gallery show featured Ethan's portrait, half-body, realistic, eyes alight with earned peace, drawing whispers of who's the muse. Pride weekend sealed it. Rainbow rivers through streets. Riley's hand in his. Marco marching beside. A triad of triumph. Graduation eve. Ethan stood lakeside. Wind whipping waves. The watch glinting silver. He scattered Jack's ashes there. Not stolen, but entrusted by Marco months back. A ritual delayed for readiness. You left, but you gave me flight. He whispered to the water, tears salting the spray. No by tragedy, but human victory. Betrayal transmuted to benevolence. Love's losses birthing gains. Years later, at his own wedding, Riley in a sharp vest, vows exchanged under Cleveland oaks. Ethan spotted her. Mom, beaming front row, a silver fox at her side from meetings. No Jack, but his echo in every laugh, every bold step. As rings slid home, Ethan caught Marco's eye, the nod profound. Father's love, eternal, reborn in the loves he claimed, fierce, flawed, forever. The tux from prom, folded in a hope chest, passed to a wide-eyed kid at the Queer Youth Center, whispering, wear it proud. It's magic. And in Willow Creek's quiet fields, corn swaying gold, Ethan knew. Redemption wasn't return, but the courage to wear your heart open, tux or no, and dance through the storm.